If you have ever needed to memorize vocabulary for whatever reason, whether you're going to travel overseas and you need to be able to speak a new language, or if you're doing something like medical studies and you need to memorize vocabulary easily and, dare I say, in a fun way, well, this video is going to be for you, so check it out. Now, before I give you the technique, why is it so difficult to memorize vocabulary? Well, when we have things like a table or a pair of shoes or we have a laptop, those things are very easy to see in our mind because they are tangible. They have physical representations that you can quickly and easily imagine. They have a physical object tied to it, if you will, or associated to that word. But when it comes to things like vocabulary, they are abstract. They are abstract pieces of information. And when we have abstract pieces of information, we need to turn that abstract information into something that our brains can process and comprehend very well, which might come down to a simple association. So take the word love, for example. It's an abstract word. In and of itself, love doesn't mean anything. Love means whatever the person thinking about it thinks it means. We add that symbolic meaning to the word. So for one person, it might be a love heart. Another person, it might be Cupid with his bow and arrow. For another person, it might be hugs. For another person, it might be roses. So you can see how we can start to create these pictures for what love might mean or what it might represent to that person. So when it comes to foreign words and foreign vocabulary, some of these words don't mean anything to us. So in this circumstance, we want to add meaning to the word. We want to create a visual representation of what that word could mean. So I'm going to show you 4 different chemicals, and you might have seen them before in the past, but maybe you didn't know what they mean. And what we're going to do is we're going to create some imagery and we're going to make it weird and playful so that you are going to be able to remember it long term. So let's start with the word dopamine. Now, in and of itself, dopamine doesn't really mean anything. It's an abstract concept, it's a word. So we want to create some sort of meaning to us. We can start by what the word sounds like. It starts with dope, dopamine, dopey, the Smurf, if any of you guys watched the Smurfs as a kid. Well, we can imagine Dopey, the Smurf, and he's giving a gift to somebody. So he's handing a gift over to somebody or he's receiving a gift. Why? Because dopamine is the reward chemical. It's the reward chemical that makes us feel good about getting things. So we can imagine Dopey the Smurf giving a gift, receiving a gift. However you feel like creating that image and whatever else comes to your mind, imagine that because your associations are going to be different to mine, and that is good. That is okay. Let's go with the second one. Let's go with endorphins. Well, also, the word doesn't have really any physical representation, so what can we create with endorphins? Endor, and English. Let's go with English. English dolphins, right? Some English dolphins. Endorphins, English dolphins. That's what my brain is doing. Yours might do something else, and that's fine. Whatever yours does, go with that. But for this video, I'm going to give you mine. So English dolphins, so they're just swallowing painkillers, things like Panadol or paracetamol or morphine or whatever it's going to be. So some English dolphins are swallowing painkillers because endorphins essentially act as painkillers. Now, the next one, let's go with serotonin. So serotonin, if you know anybody called Sarah, well, you can imagine her on her toes. Sarah's on her toes on top of a table. Why would she be on top of a table? Well, she's trying to stabilize the table to stop that table from falling over, because serotonin is more like a mood stabilizer, trying to stabilize the table. Yeah, cool, we got on. So serotonin, Sarah's on her toes, tippy-toeing on the table, trying to stop that table from falling over. She's like wobbling and balancing, trying to stabilize the mood, okay? And the last one is oxytocin. Well, oxygen, no, I don't like that one too much. I want to go with an ox. Oxes, you know oxes, the creature, the oxen? I think oxen is the plural for that, right? If it's not, please let me know in the comments. I think it is though. Oxytocin. So you can imagine some oxes dipping their toes into a love chemical and they're falling in love and they get those big love heart eyeballs, those big ones that go, Urka, Urka. I don't think anybody, you know what I'm trying to say there with the old cartoon eyeballs, love heart popping out of the eyes, you know what I'm talking about. So oxes are dipping their toes into some love potion, they're falling in love, their eyes are coming out and they're popping into love hearts because oxytocin is the love chemical, right? So let's go through this again. Dopey the Smurf receiving a gift because it's the reward chemical, is receiving a gift, okay? The next one was the English dolphins, endorphins, swallowing painkillers. because they're more like painkillers. Serotonin, Sarah is on her toes on the table trying to balance the mood stabilizer, stabilizing the mood, stabilizing that table. All right. Last one was oxytocin. So oxes dipping their toes into a love potion, their love heart eyes just popping out of their skull because they're in love, because it's the love chemical. Now, in the beginning when you start doing these pictures, you may not come up with too much at all, and that's okay. When I first started doing these pictures, and I was able to memorize over 600 words in Spanish in 1 week just by doing the same technique. But sometimes the pictures won't come to you very quickly, okay? And that's okay. The more that you do this, you'll get better at it. Memory is a skill, skills can be trained, okay? So sometimes these pictures might take 30 seconds to a minute, maybe sometimes even 2 minutes to think of an association, and that's okay. But whatever associations start popping up in your mind, use them, because you are going to be your own best memory coach. You have had your experiences in life, you have had your associations, and that is what is going to create these memories and create these pictures for you. So start off with just the syllables. What does it sound like? What does it remind you of? What's a crazy thing that you can make happen with these pictures? Because the more strange, the more vivid, the more action, the more rich details and imagery and senses that you can put into these pictures, the better it's going to be for you to remember them. So you notice with all these pictures that I just created, something kind of strange is happening. For starters, dopamine, Dopey, he's a bit of an unforgettable character. So I imagine him for myself. Maybe yours is going to be something different. The English dolphins just throwing back painkillers. I've got the action involved, and I can imagine them swallowing the painkillers. Maybe they're getting stuck in their throat. The painkillers are like, have you ever had a painkiller stuck in your throat and you're trying to swallow it down and it just doesn't work? That's an example of adding more detail, because the more detail you throw into it, the more discomfort or emotions you throw in, the easier it's going to be to remember this long term. And then Sarah, your friend Sarah on the table is trying to stabilize it on her tippy toes. It's a bit of a weird picture, right? Then again, the weirder it is, the harder it is to forget. And then lastly, we had the oxes dipping their toes into water, but their eyeballs bulging out of their sockets. And it's such a weird picture that it's difficult to forget, okay? So we're not trying to make it easy to remember. We're trying to make these pictures hard to forget. So make sure to practice this. With practice, you're gonna get better at all of these techniques, okay? So that's all I got for you today. If you like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. Please comment down in the section below. I will get back to your comments. If you have any content you want to see on this channel, please let me know. And until next time, I'll see you next time. And